Hey there, Timothy Roberts here. In this video, I want to tell you about a very interesting, awesome experience I had a week ago with the great drummer Hans Dekker from WDR. He came to my shop to pick out a batch of cymbals that he had me commission for him. And I want to talk to you about that process, what I learned, and some of the cymbals that he didn't choose, but the ones that kind of got close. So if you're not familiar with Hans, he is the house drummer of the WDR big band based out of Germany. They have had some of the most amazing guest artists in that band that you could ever imagine, some of the greatest that have ever done it. He's been behind the kit with some of the greatest musicians who have ever lived. He's also a musician of the highest level, a really stellar person, very, very genuinely awesome guy. And he reached out to me months back and said, hey, I've found out about your cymbals from a mutual friend of ours, and I want to commission you to make a batch of cymbals for me. I play big band. He gave me a number of recordings that he really loved the sounds of, but other than that, he gave me no direction. He said, just make some cymbals. I trust you. Here's the recordings of the sounds I really like. Do your thing. I play in a big band, and that was it. I tried to ask him, like, well, tell me a little bit more about what you want, blah, blah, blah. He was like, no, you got it. So he did tell me the kind of sticks that he uses, which are Vader session sticks. They're hickory. They have kind of an elongated sort of barrel, sort of acorn tip. They provide a nice pointed sound, but it's a little bit darker, I find. And so I knew his sticks. I knew the recordings of Mel Lewis and the ones that he sent, the cymbal references that he sent. And so I made a bunch of cymbals. I made probably 20 some odd cymbals, kind of aiming in different directions with big band. And this brings me to the main point of this video, which is big band drumming. You know, this is it's jazz, but it's also not, super thin, washy, wobbly cymbals. We need some, big band drummers need cymbals that have meat to them. They need to be able to carry a 20-piece orchestra sometimes. They need to be able to clearly speak the ride cymbal pattern out through the band. And so I did a bunch of research. I watched Hans play. A lot of the stuff that WDR does is recorded and mic'd really, really well. And so you've got a bunch of close mics. So he's not a heavy-handed drummer by any means. But the cymbals he clearly gravitated towards were brighter and a little bit cleaner and heavier by nature. And so I've been on my own journey, and my ears have been developing and starting to take in more heavy cymbal sounds and really loving those sounds. I dropped a video a little while back about heavier cymbals. Many of you guys mentioned that these cymbals are not actually heavy. They're kind of more like medium. And I mentioned in the video, these are heavy for me, but I'm on my way. I'm looking forward to that future date where I'm going to make some 22s or make multiple 22s in a batch that are over 3,000 grams. That's coming. So, keep an eye out. That's coming soon. But this is kind of a step along that journey, kind of leading me towards a different creative expression with these instruments. Many drummers need heavier weight cymbals, brighter cymbals, slightly cleaner sounds to be able to do the kind of music that they do. All of that stuff was swirling in my mind as I was making these cymbals for Hans, and I landed on some really good sounds. Most of the cymbals I made, though, were a little bit too light for him. He was like, yeah, that's not really quite the direction. He was great in that he would just come in and tap a cymbal, and within 2 taps, he'd either say yes or no. Or he would just keep playing, and I knew, okay, that's sort of, yeah, okay, that's what he's exploring it a little bit, so he spent time exploring each cymbal. We swapped a bunch of cymbals out. Moral of the story is he picked all of the heaviest ones for the most part. He picked one that was kind of thin and wild, and he said he had a very particular use for that cymbal. You'll know which one it is in a minute. But I was really blown away by this experience. I want to say a huge thank you to Hans. Thank you to his graciousness. Thanks to Kevin Vanden Elzen for getting us in touch. Great drummer based out of LA, an amazing big band drummer. He's had me make some cymbals for him in that Mel Lewis style. And it's really been an honor to work with him and an honor to explore these cymbal sounds. And it does kind of come alongside something that I've been doing for many months now, developing what does the Timothy Roberts sound, how does it fit into these medium and medium heavy and even heavy sounding cymbals. So let's jump over. I'm going to show you the clips of all of the cymbals that Hans chose, along with some little snippets of him playing.
It's like a family.
Yeah.
You can just, you know, but they're really swinging.
Yeah, awesome.
Because they don't wash out.
Yeah. All right, so those are the cymbals. I really like all of them. Again, it was kind of grading against my own personal taste because these heavier ones, part of my mind was like, okay, I'm going to leave these extra heavy so that we can kind of make some tweaks when he's here. Maybe shave him a little thinner, do a little extra hammering, whatever. But he took them as is, and those were the sounds he really was like, yes, this is it. If you noticed, he had me install in the main ride position one, 2 rivets hanging at the lowest point of the cymbal. So the way the cymbal leans toward you, he likes having 2 lightweight rivets there. I love that setup, especially in a heavyweight ride. To have that, you can just slightly glance the cymbal and get it to activate. The thing about heavier cymbals is it takes a little bit more energy to get them to open up. So it's a perfect hack. It's like just add a couple rivets, have them hang low, and it allows even with brushes to just kind of lightly glance the cymbal. You get activation and you get that sense of a very nuanced cymbal in something that's heavy, but then you're able to really dig in and drive a band and you're able to do it all. It's really the way to have a really versatile cymbal is to have it set up like that. So I was really happy with how those ones turned out. And that is something too that like I think is a super important point with cymbals in general is a lot of times guys like the thinner stuff because they can barely glance it and get it to activate. The trade-off though is on the higher velocity range when you're really trying to dig in and drive a band, it won't cut it. It just washes out, the wash builds up, it overtakes the stick definition, all that kind of stuff. So here are 1, 2, 5 and some hi-hats. These are the cymbals he did not take. He was very close to picking any one of these to go in with his set. I have a Prism that's 1989 grams, nearly 2,000. Then I have a Prism 20-inch, 2,052 grams, hand-formed bell. Then I have a 21 Prism, again, 2,385 grams. Then a 20 Prism. You really like the Prisms. 2,065 grams. And then lastly, he picked out this crazy wild cymbal, 22-inch from the new series that I'm going to be launching soon called the Signature Series. It's an offshoot of the Redux project I did. You can check out that video in the feed. This is a thinner one. It's a little bit more wild. So let's check out how these ones sound. All right, as you can tell, one is clearly not like the others. This thin signature line, precursor to the signature line, is very trashy. It almost kind of functions as that like far right swish sound. It's got that kind of aggressive trash to it. He picked a cymbal that was just like this. It was between this one and another one, and it's the one you saw that was thinner in the 22s. Everything else, you know, we're still in the thin cymbal range, but we're getting cleaner sounds. We're getting tighter, articulate sounds. They're still relatively dark because they are all handmade. I've talked about this in plenty of other videos, but essentially the more hand hammering, the more little imprints with the hammer that you have in a cymbal, the darker it's going to be. So a machine-made cymbal is typically pressed into a shape, then the machine hits it a certain number of times, and relative to a handmade cymbal, it has way fewer compression points in the metal. So my cymbals are all going to tend to be in the dark spectrum because there are hundreds, if not thousands, more strikes in each one. Maybe not thousands, but hundreds at least. And so I'm compensating for the fact that they are going to be dark by just having more weight, and I can even go higher with that. That's the whole thing about these. They're thin, they're medium thin, but as you increase the weight and you increase the mass, you get brighter, more cutting sounds that retain a sense of darkness to them. So they don't get overly pingy and aggressive and piercing. And so that is, you know, I've said it a million times, that is the joy of a handmade cymbal and why I love making cymbals in this fashion, the old Turkish method of making cymbals. It's amazing. I do have a machine hammer, but it does like maybe 10%, if not less than 10% of the process when it comes to the shaping of the alloy. So thank you guys for watching. Please drop a comment below, hit the like and the subscribe if you want notifications, the bell if you want notifications. That's the whole YouTube thing. I got to do this spiel every single time. It's silly. But that's what they say you got to do when you have a YouTube channel. So do all that fun stuff. Drop a comment below. Keep an eye out for the next video. My name is Timothy Roberts. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I think so.
Crazy.
Yeah, so this
Beautiful job, man.
this
Really.
is